everybody. Let's see if we can get Juliet back in here. Yes, Juliet, thank you so much. I'm going to just add you now. Okay. Hey, Bethany. Hey, everybody. I love your comments, by the way. We're not ignoring your comments. We're just so into the conversation right now. But I see the fact that people are saying, yes, do a masterclass of Juliet Jones Romero. I'm in. I've been seeing so many amazing, amazing comments that you're with us every step of the way during this conversation. And let's just wait for just a couple more people to join us because I've only just started back up again. I've just shared the first part of our conversation, Julia, just so you know that's be available, so that people can.
But it's so good to have these conversations, you know.
Yes.
Things are changing. This is the ground has softened up. We've got to really go for it now. Absolutely.
Now is the time.
It is
now
the time.
is the time.
It
This
is
is the tipping point.
Yeah, and make sure that people, as I said, people don't pay lip service, that they do something, you know.
Yes.
They've got to put their money where their mouth is. So
yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think it's about this as well, right? It's about what's happening in institutions, us putting the pressure on institutions to change, but it's also about this, us having these moments which are not delivered by a sort of a white establishment, you know,
yeah,
us having these real honest, brutally honest conversations that we know what messages we want to get to our people. We want them to soak all of this knowledge in,
yeah,
so that they can use it for in their homes. They can use it to sort of educate their own children, and they can just pass it on, from generations to generations.
that's what it is. It is about that torch. And also, as I said, like, you know, having like been in an institution and seen these cycles come, I've seen, who was it? Eric Garner, 2014.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and nothing
Yeah.
changed. This is different. This is
Yeah,
different.
exactly.
And then
And as you
learning,
were talking, sorry, Julia.
yeah, sorry, something popped up on my screen. And I think Ava DuVernay said that when they did, what was her film about Martin Luther King, the march, Selma.
Selma,
And
oh my gosh.
they wanted to wear T-shirts about, you know, Eric Garner, and they were told that they couldn't. And then, you know, and then told that people wouldn't vote for the film if they protested. But again, you know, things have changed, you know.
Selma is brilliant. I mean, it's really lovely that we could just have a conversation really in terms of the plays and films that have come out that we are just going about time, right? We've
Yeah,
been waiting for this
yeah,
moment where, you know, we can have films like Get Out, like Us, like Sorry to Bother You, like, you know, Selma, like, do you know what I mean? And we're just
yeah,
like, oh, this is a beautiful time.
yeah.
This is a beautiful time right now for
It
us
is.
to ensure. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say it is. And sorry, carry on. I interrupt.
No, just in terms of you know, really riding that wave, but also being in front of the wave so that we can steer the direction of travel. I think it's really important that, you know, a lot of us have been having so many of these conversations for a very long time.
Yeah,
But, you know, I think that having the material, you know, that we have and having, you know, okay, let's talk about the fact that your plays are published
yeah,
and how many plays, you know, we still need to get quite a lot of people's plays published that are not
yeah,
published, and that's definitely something that I am actively going to be doing. But the fact that, you know, At the Gates of Gaza, I've got the script, I've got the paper scripts. I don't even, this is the first time I've actually had the actual papers. I'm like, oh my God, I can touch it, I can go through the pages because I just have like the paper versions of a lot of scripts right now. But it must be so brilliant, Julia, to have your plays published. But now that they're published, we need to get them into the hands of those who can keep and to preserve a legacy and to keep it alive.
yeah. You know, and again, as I said, it is about education. And I remember when At the Gates of Gaza opened in Birmingham, and it opened in the studio actually, and but these young black guys were coming to see it, and you could tell by they not seen anything quite like it, you know, let alone to see black men in uniform, you know,
Yes.
First World War on stage, who had a stake in democracy at the time. So we did a lot of workshops in and around Birmingham, and that is always gratifying for me. That means a lot, you know.
Yeah.
I like to work with young people, and I like to hear what they have to say, because that infuses me, you know. I learn from
Mhm.
them. Hopefully they learn
Yeah.
from me. I
Oh,
learn
they do.
a lot from them, and you know, they're really, as I said, this current generation, they absolutely have it handled, and they're not afraid, because, you know, when Trump came out and said, you know, I want the governors to dominate the protesters, and then he said, and of course I support the Second Amendment. And what he was saying is to his fan base, you know, yeah, you go out and police this, you know, don't have a problem with
Yeah,
people going out there armed. It was that was horrific. They went
exactly. You know,
together. That was absolutely horrific. And I just thought, you know, for the young people going out there at the moment, they're brave, because they don't know who they're going to encounter in opposition
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
protest, you know, today. But going back to Lorraine Hansberry, I mean, what I loved about her was the ambition of her work,
Mhm.
the heartbreak of the fact that, you know, had studios have been more open at the time, and she was before her time, they were afraid of her.
Yes.
You know, she was under FBI surveillance. You know, I mean,
Oh, I
it
didn't know that.
oh goodness me, yes. Because she had a voice,
Wow.
making an impact on culture. And these are things that we take for granted. Well, Martin Luther King was, you know, but
Yeah.
she, she was. And, you know, so she did A Raisin in the Sun. Again, you
Yeah.
know, people listening to a black voice through drama, through theatre, in a way that a news bulletin could never manage. And then she, you know, unfortunately, she died before she could finish Le Blanc, but what a play.
Let's pause that. Let's just pause there because we're not quite there yet, Julia. I know you're going with this. What I would say before we move on to the rain, because we're going to talk about the rain
Yeah,
shortly,
yeah.
I want to just bring it back to your plays, because like we've kind of alluded to, Julia tells untold stories. You know, the fact that you dig them out, you do that research, and you collate all of this material, all of this knowledge, all of these facts that
Mm-hmm.
are there buried, you know, and you then apply them, and you bring them to life in these plays that you've written. So the plays that we're giving away are, I know we've spoken a little bit about At the Gates of Gaza, but maybe we can just do it in a really concise way of like just saying like what exactly that play is about. Also in terms of Uppercut and then The Whip.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to just sort of in a way that just makes people to really know, because we have spoken about the First World War and just anyway, let me stop talking. I'm going to pass it over to you because you do it more eloquently than me. But I really want people just to leave today going, oh, At the Gates of Gaza is about this, and
Yeah,
etc. etc.
yeah. So yeah, At the Gates of Gaza are about the Caribbean men, the British West Indies Regiment that fought in what was Palestine during the First World War, and how that history, because the government actually didn't keep their record. They weren't photographed. There are very few photographs of them. It wasn't policy to photograph black troops, and they were not allowed to march in the victory parade when the war was over. So people didn't know. So it's about these men who go to fight for king and an empire, because they believe that this war is about change. They believe it's about revolution. They believe it's about democracy, and they believe that if they fight alongside, you know, their English compatriots, that they will get a seat at the table, that they will be respected for their sacrifice, and they weren't. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and their history was buried. And after Armistice, I then did the radio play One Hot Summer. The men who arrived back in England and were demobilised were then sadly attacked in the streets because, I mean, they had no money, they couldn't get any jobs, and the government that wouldn't commit to sending them home, so they were destitute. And also this was paralleled with what happened in the States the same summer, May, June 1919. Race riots in America and in this country. They're more well known in America, but what happened here is not really known. So every port town, we're talking about Glasgow, Cardiff, Merseyside, London, major race riots against black soldiers. It's like people don't know this. So
Yeah, they don't. They don't. And that's why we're giving away that at the Gates of Gaza with each of your places two different separate bundles, because I think it's really important that this at the Gates of Gaza is a play that people have on their shelves. I it's brilliantly written, and yeah, I'm not going to give too much away, but for me, the ending of the play is exceptional. The play itself is exceptional, but the ending,
what happened to memory?
brilliant, brilliant. So let's talk a little bit about Uppercut.
Right. So Uppercut now. So in 1987, we had the seismic arrival of 4 MPs of colour, if you will, and we didn't have representation before 1987. So when we had the Depth of Fire, in which 13 young black kids were murdered, black people marched, descended from all over the country, but there were no MPs to advocate on our behalf, and Parliament ignored. The Toxteth riots, Brixton riots followed hot on the heels, and the Labour Party, or rather black activists created a kind of black sections. So I talk about, which helped the Bernie Grant, Diane Abbott, Paul Boateng, Vaz, but there should have been a 5th politician. And that's what the play is about. And it's based on Sharon Atkin, who was a successful activist. She had been selected to represent Nottingham East in that election, and was deselected literally on the eve of the election for denouncing the Labour Party as racist. Some of her comments were taken out of context, but she was immediately deselected because she was campaigning for black sections within the Labour Party. And it's about her journey, how she became an activist and trying to fight that election, and how she tried to make her way back into politics, but told backwards. So we see Karen, as a disillusioned young woman who wants to become an MP again, who actually is trying to fight for female representation in Parliament. And then we see her journey going backwards, what happened to her, how she was deselected, and then we kind of end with her. And I think that we used Young, Gifted and Black in the production, and to see her idealism and why she joined the Labour Party and why she wanted to become an MP. But yes, she should have been the 5th, and she would have won her seat. So that's what Uppercut is about.
Yeah, Uppercut. Remember these titles, everybody, okay? So even if you don't get a chance to win the place today, remember At the Gates of Gaza, and Uppercut. And then now let's move into talk about The Whip.
Yeah. So The Whip, another labour of love. As I said, I knew that I wanted to write about slavery. I just didn't know how to do it, and I always want to do things differently, as any creative should. And I found a way into it. I was looking at the compensation bill, how abolition was achieved, and what you won't get in The Whip. I don't mention Wilberforce once, because that's a narrative that we are always fed, and that's he paid lip service, if you will, to abolition. It was Thomas Clarkson who was an activist who boarded slave ships, interviewed slaves, recorded what was going on. They tried to kill him in Merseyside. Slavers tried to get rid of this man, and he gave his research and his work to Wilberforce, who was the parliamentary face, and then Wilberforce actually tried to kick him into touch and take the glory of abolition for himself. And Thomas Clarkson's great granddaughter came to see the whip. She's a friend of mine.
Oh,
Oh my goodness, yeah, no, it was.
wow, that is amazing.
No, I honestly, because, you know, and it goes back to activism. You know, this man decided that slavery was an affront. You know, he actually interviewed Toussaint Louverture in Paris before the
Oh,
Haitian Revolution. So he was very
wow.
in racial justice, you know, and risked his life for it, and met other black activists, you know, assisted runaway slaves in their tours of Britain, talking about their experiences. And that's why, you know, I do reference him in the play, but I don't, I deliberately, and no disrespect to Wilberforce, but I just thought, this is the
No.
narrative that we get all the time. I'm doing, I'm doing a true narrative, but it's different. And I'm doing the narrative of how that bill came to be, the infighting, the MPs who owned slaves and were afraid to see their income, you know, go, and then who realised that if they put in place a bailout, that actually they could become very wealthy men. And also, you know, I have a character who is based on Mary Prince, who was a runaway slave, who became the first black
Yeah.
woman to petition Parliament. I created Mercy because Mary unfortunately died just before abolition, and I wanted a black female character to carry it through, and also to, you know, as well as Edmund, who was also a runaway slave, who was brought into the chief whip's home, and kind of like raised and worked as a secretary. It was their fight against the apprenticeship bill, you know, because they realised that it was slavery by another name. I mean, it was purgatory for their slaves, being told that they were free, but no, actually, you have to work for your previous owner, and you know your rights are fewer now, and you know no one has a duty of care towards you, and we're bringing a police force to make sure that you work for
To
free.
enforce it. Wow. And this is what I love about you, Juliet. I love the fact that you are so committed to ensure that we know of the other stories,
Yeah,
right? Because there's the stories that they want us to know, and these are the stories that are very much celebrated. They have statues everywhere. You know, they're they're on the streets. So we engage with them
yeah,
subconsciously and consciously, right? And what I love is the fact that with each of your plays, you always go the extra mile to say, well, no, we know that you've been told this narrative, but
yeah,
hey, there's this narrative that's lurking in the dark that
yes,
actually is the facts and is going to give you more of a understanding
yeah,
of how things played out over
yeah,
time.
yeah,
And that's what I always adored you for that. I just think that your plays are always there to enlighten.
yeah.
And thank you so much for enlightening us with the plays that you write.
I'm
Um,
going to
I,
read the comment about Thomas Clarkson,
I was
and
just about to come to that. Do you want to, you
yeah,
go ahead.
so it's you know, and this is what's
Hi,
so
Annie.
about life and the small movements. When you look at Black Lives Matter now, you
Hmm.
know, what will the planet look like in 100 years because of activism? So Thomas, you're right. So Thomas Clarkson's brother was part of the wave to set up the first settlement in Freetown, and I believe the first one failed. You know, and also those. So they had a lot of black soldiers who fought in the Revolutionary War, who were promised freedom, but when the British lost, they brought them back here and didn't really know what to do with them. Few of them got a war pension, and a lot of them were then went to to create Sierra Leone, and it was Thomas Clarkson's brother who I think went with, and he knows a lot about this, who kind of like went to help build that particular society. But this is fascinating history.
Yeah, this
What
is.
I'm really excited about. I have Sierra Leonean friends, and it's like from the seeds of activism, whether people are right or wrong, it's how the world evolves. Thomas Clarkson deciding to board slave ships, and so now his descendant, Sheena, who I know, she's an activist herself. But what will happen in Washington in August will change the course of history for the next generation, because, as I said, it will feed directly into the coming, election in November. And we will. I mean, when you see people like Mitt Romney joining a like this Republican, a Mormon, joining a Black Lives Matter rally.
Yes.
I mean, I had to do a double take.
Yeah.
And now you've got the Lincoln Project, Republicans for who will vote Democrat, Republicans for Biden, or Republicans who are, against Trump. But look at how, politics is evolving the same way that the fight to end slavery changed society. It was a bit like having a fossil fuel. Like, we don't know how to get rid of the fossil fuel industry. And everyone's worried about, well, what will we do? We'll all be poor. Society will collapse. There were MPs who thought that the empire would collapse if they got rid of the slave trade.
Yes.
They went there. They mortgaged the country until 2015 to do it. So that the MPs who brought in the bailout, they were long gone, and they knew it. They knew that it wouldn't be their responsibility. It finally fell upon our shoulders as descendants of slaves. I mean, how outrageous is that? Our tax money went to paying off this bailout. I'm descended from the slave trade. How is that even fair? But
yeah, that's one thing that, to be honest with you, that blew my mind when I found out. I was so ignorant to that fact, of where our tax money was actually going to. Yeah. You're paying this money out, right? And you have no choice. But in terms of what pockets, it lands in, that for me really blew my mind.
Did you see so there was an article, I think it was The Guardian, King and Lloyd's Insurance said, look, we would like to offer operations because we know that our forefathers who were involved in the insurance company and Green King breweries received monies from the compensation plan. So Graham Greene, the novelist, he's part of that family, as was the Director General of the BBC in it was early 1960s. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, this has far reach. George Orwell, his family were a recipient of that money. Cameron, his family were a recipient. But for these families, it fundamentally, I mean, the Gladsons, as I said, can you imagine making 83 million? They didn't even have the national lottery in those days. You make 83 million because of the enslavement of people. And of course you can afford to be sitting pretty at the top of society, because you can then, use your largesse. And then I also read that people could benefit from these men if they shared their politics. So in Bristol, he would fund people who shared his politics, and this is how institutions.
Oh my God, I want to say so much about that. I want to say so much about that. And just in terms of like, where we even get our money from in the arts industry. I mean, there's.
Yeah, I know.
But Julia, I need to move on. Yeah, Bethany's just got greed. But and Annie, thank you so much for your comments. We can see them. We can see it. And Annie's on it. Annie is an amazing. You know Annie? Do you know Annie, Julia? Yeah.
I think it was at your Beyond the Canon event at
Right.
Rome. Yeah, and we got then, but we all have this thirst for stories that have been buried. You know,
Yes.
I can't leave that alone. And that's where the particularly the journalist instinct comes out. It's like, you know, why have they been buried? When I was at the Imperial War Museum, why aren't there more photos of these black troops? But it was government policy not to photograph them, you know. So their stories can only really live in, you know, either film, theatre, documentary, and this is why it's so important, you know. I mean, Shonda Rhimes has got this big deal with Netflix.
Mm.
She's doing a historical piece. It's
Mm.
Bridgerton. Um, history.
History buff.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
This is my period. I love Annie. I've done huge amounts of research.
No, but
Yes, Annie. Yeah.
I
This
think it's
needs
like,
to be a course. We need to do like a Beyond the Canon course.
yeah,
Come get your education, people. You know, let's bring Annie, Juliet, and there's many others as well. And you're going to learn through the whole of the Beyond the Canon BT. This is why we're doing the BTC Writers Room. So we can share knowledge, we can share the research. And Annie, at some point, it'd be great for you to be on here too, just sharing your research that you've done over the years as well. I mean, this feels
there
super special. I just feel honored to be here in your presence.
are so many stories to tell, but we have to tell them. I mean, I think it was Toni Morrison.
Yes,
If there's a
that's
story
the point.
no one else is telling it, then, you know, we have to do it ourselves. And
We have to.
and you know, and finally it's, you know, so, you know, there was at the Gates of Gaza, Uppercut was about, you know, black sections and the fact that, you know, I mean, a lot of young people don't realize when we first got our black MPs into Parliament, it wasn't that long ago. It's
No.
you know, it's quite shocking. And then
You know what book changed my mind? I don't know if you ever came across this book called Black Settlers since like 1885,
yeah, I've heard of it actually. No, I've heard of it.
1800 something.
Yeah.
That book, and luckily enough, I got that quite or youngish, really. I mean, come on, sometimes our education starts later than we would hope. But it definitely was a book that made me go, oh, okay,
Mm.
that's when you walk with your chest out, you know, after reading that.
I feel like we've been disenfranchised. You know,
Yes.
and when you know, Remembrance Day comes around and everyone's wearing their poppies, and you know, and I
And
see,
the
yeah,
black poppies as well. I need to pick up the black poppies.
get in there. You know,
Yeah.
this is our history as well. And in terms of abolition, there were black abolitionists. These stories need to be
Yes.
people need to know about.
Yes.
You know, this is very, very, very important. And but if we don't tell it, no one else will tell it. The other thing that I did with the whip is that, you know, I made it very much about British history, because 1833 you had the Factories Act, you know, to reduce the hours that children were working in the factories. You had the Reform Act so that working class men could vote, because they were rioting in Bristol for the right to vote. People forget about that. Very conveniently, you know, people protested about Edward Colston and all the rest of it. And, you know, there's certain people who are outraged by that. Working class men, white working class men, rioted in Bristol for the right to vote. But that's taught in schools. And there's something noble. And it changed Parliament. They brought in laws so that they could vote. So 1833 was a real crossroads. And I knew that to be able to get an audience in to appreciate that whole journey, I had to tell everybody's story and put it in a crucible. That was really important to me. And what it meant was that people would come along. So I went to cotton mills to learn about child slavery. So if I'm looking at slavery in the Caribbean, I want to know about slavery that was going on in this country as well. People came and they didn't know about it, you know, and they didn't know about the abuses that were inflicted upon children in these cotton mills as well.
And
So
that's what I love about your story, Juliet, because I mean, I'm based now in Chicago. I'm in, you know, America, and it puzzles me every single time I get questions around racism in the UK. And they don't have the understanding that yes, it does. We do have racism in the UK, and they I mean, a recent question that was posed to me is, that they were shocked to see people protesting for Black Lives Matter in the UK. And I was like, well, you should not be shocked.
But they don't know, that's like they
No,
don't know about the Caribbean and that history. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, Diana Ross's mother was from Barbados, for goodness sakes. Colin Powell's family were Jamaican,
Mhm.
and they bring with them the legacy of slavery and
Yes.
having come from countries which have emerged through colonialism,
Yeah.
and then moving. So I've got a lot of relatives in the States and in Canada, and
Mm.
we form a melting pot of Black stories, but we need to connect, you know. So,
Yes.
I think that so I've got like a lot of Guyanese relatives who've settled in the States, and that younger generation, they see themselves as very much as American, but
Yeah.
they connect with their African American friends and to talk about that history and to realize that, as I said before, slavery was 30 million people snatched from a continent. The seeds of globalization and capitalism evolved because of it. And they need to be able to understand that and look across at each other and travel together. Well, hopefully
Yeah.
COVID, but
Yeah. When it's safe. Yeah.
traveling the world, going to different countries, and explore the same way Zora Neale Hurston went to Haiti. When I was reading, her work, and this was in the 1930s, being blown away by her curiosity and her
Mm.
intellectual rigor and how she recorded, the folklore of the peoples that she came across. So when I first went to Haiti, I went to study the African diaspora and I went to Cuba and
That's what I want to do. I would love to do that journey. But we're gonna have to just pause there because we need to just like, because I could be with you, for this conversation. I'm sure that many people will stay as well because there's just so much history here. This is so brilliant, Juliet, and I just cannot thank you enough. But let's just move on because we do have a part of this podcast which we want to focus on the plays that you wish that you would have read
yeah,
before you entered into the professional industry. And it would be so amazing to see what free plays that
yeah.
you've selected and why those free plays. So do you care to share?
So I chose Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, um, The Piano Lesson, and Le Blanc. So Ma Rainey and Piano Lesson by August Wilson and Le Blanc by Lorraine Hansberry. And I guess I'll start with Lorraine because A Raisin and a Sun is a brilliant play. But what you get with Le Blanc is her her political intelligence. She's thinking big. She's looking at colonialism in Africa, and she was writing at a time, pre and there were independence movements, but independence hadn't been achieved in African countries and in much of the Caribbean. And to explore that, to be politically involved with groups and with James Baldwin and having these conversations. I mean, she even met Robert Kennedy, and then to start writing Le Blanc and to question what colonialism means and who gets to tell that story and the tragedy of it, which actually parallels Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Both of them are tragedies, and in Le Blanc, one brother, kills another over identity and, belonging. But when I saw the stage play, oh my God, I saw it 4 times. And I'm a bit like that.
You saw it 4 times?
4 times now. And it's like, as a writer, you're studying. So the first time you're overwhelmed, you're absorbing everything. Second time, you're like listening to the text. And the next time it's the staging, perhaps. And then the next time again, it's just the sheer enjoyment of it. I was blown away by that. I remember Sheila Atim as Mother Africa, uh,
Mm-hmm.
moving around the action in the play, and they had like a South African troupe, black women singing. I can't say, is it Sosa? I think that's how you pronounce it. But the arguments on stage was absolutely phenomenal, and I was
Mhm.
blown away. And you know, I would love to have read that before, because to be honest, you know, when I went to Goldsmiths to do an MA in writing, I literally walked a night shift, took a credit card, and thought, you know, I need to step out of this treadmill of 24-hour news. And I was lucky to get on. Actually, I was glad that they, to be honest, I had actually applied for a screenwriting course, a couple, and I just
Oh,
failed failed to get onto any of them. And I went to Goldsmiths, and it was the best thing I did, because you know, in theatre it's very organic, and you get to workshop and you meet actors and
mhm.
directors. It was absolutely fantastic. And I think had I read LeBlanc, it would have so opened my mind to the
Mhm.
the the, the ambition. I mean, obviously I had to learn, but yeah, it was, and then to read Raisin and Sun, and then something like LeBlanc, and just see where she was headed, you
Mm.
know. And we never got to see that full journey, you know. It's a much bigger play than A Raisin in the Sun. A Raisin in the Sun is more August or Wilson. It's more local and
Yes.
mythical, whereas LeBlanc is that's hard politics, you know. That is like, you know, we want to govern ourselves. This is about revolution, which I think
Yeah.
why there were people who felt quite threatened by her, you know.
Mm.
And to lose her the way that we did to
Yeah.
pancreatic cancer is, you know, just when
Yeah.
she was on the brink of so much. So that's LeBlanc.
Mhm.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, again, I think that would have helped me massively with the first draft of At the Gates of Gaza that I wrote, because it was about, you know, that again, that was very ambitious. We're looking at, you know, power, passion. We're looking identity and exploitation, and how these musicians, you know, were being exploited, and how a character like Ma Rainey has experience, she has power, but she knows how far to take it. And the character of
Mm.
Levy, he doesn't, and he goes too far, and you know, ends in tragedy. You
Yeah,
know,
that's one of my favorites. Yeah,
it's
definitely Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. If you
you know,
haven't read any of these plays, please do read them.
yeah, because I
And then the piano. Sorry.
the piano. So yeah, I read Ma Rainey, and it was all there, and I could see it, and I finally got to see it at the National
Yeah.
2016. The piano lesson, what can I say? I mean, my goodness, that's a thing of beauty. This is a play about legacy and history.
Mm.
What is legacy? And you've got a brother and a sister fighting over this piano. One wants to sell it to be able to buy land so that he can be free, and buy land that was, you know, worked on by slaves, that had been owned by a particularly unsavory slave master. And he's doing battle with a sister who doesn't want to sell it, because as far as she's concerned, there's no amount of money
Mhm.
that can replace the legacy of this piano, because the faces of their relatives and those born in slavery are carved into this piano, which she won't play, you know, but she wants it there, you
Yeah.
know, because it's part of the family. It's an heirloom, and it's the pain of that heirloom. And in the end, they have to exorcise this piano, because the ghost of the slave owner who owned it, you know, erupts. But oh, I mean, you know, I'm not a director. If I could direct, I think I would. That would be my first attempt. Would be the piano lesson. Absolutely beautiful play, and taught me a lot.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Really, like, I love your recommendations. They are so, so brilliant. And I think you're right, just in terms of like Lorraine, and her trajectory, and how we should really celebrate that.
Yes.
Because I think that a lot of writers get told to focus on very sort of small plays,
Yeah.
kitchen drum plays, and it's really brilliant to see where she was headed to,
Yes.
you know, and to for us to not forget that, and to also always aspire to
Yeah.
do any play that we want to tell, you
Yeah.
know. So that's definitely inspirational. And obviously August Wilson is August Wilson, and he but I would say that those two plays that you selected are brilliant. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give your plays away. So I'm gonna have to like wrap up our conversation, which I don't really want to do, but I'm gonna have to do that. But please join us again, and let's continue to have a conversation offline as well, Juliet. Like, I would love to find a way to work with you through the work we do at Beyond the Canon. And I'm sure that everybody here would agree that it would, I'm sure they would sign up straight away, to be honest with you. So let's sort of discuss what
Well,
is possible.
definitely. And thank you for
Thank you. Oh, goodness. Thank you so much. You are just, you know, your wisdom is just so inspirational, and I've just got so much love for you. So thank you so much, Juliet.
thank you.
And and we will speak
All right,
offline.
I will leave. All right, bye bye.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Juliet. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. Okay, as you can see that I am just so filled up just with the knowledge that Juliet has offered us. Thank you so much, Annie, as well for your contributions. Now we want to give some plays away, y'all. So if you are, we're going to first of all give away the bundle, which is At the Gates of Gaza and Uppercut. So if you are a student, let me know, raise your hand, let me know so I can add you. Or if you're on artistic course at the moment and would love these plays, let me know. Comment, request to join, do all of the above. We really want to give these plays away. And you know, this is really about our legacy. So anyone who's really interested in owning these plays, reading them, being inspired by the words that Juliet has put onto the page, and the knowledge that will come through the words that she has, the characters, sorry, that she's written, then please do let me know. Let me add you in now. Give me a heads up. How am I going to know? Put a thumbs up. Put a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you would like to read this. It's At the Gates of Gaza and Uppercut. I am so filled up. I'm so excited right now. I'm just like, I feel like I just need to sit and just stare out because Julia is just such a wealth of knowledge, and I just can't thank her enough, really. So if you would like, we've only got a limited amount of time. So if you would like the plays, okay, so I've got a few thumbs up there. Let's see who I can bring in. All right. So Bethany, I'm bringing you in. I am bringing you in, Bethany. You should be in any minute. Is it working? Oh, this thing is playing up today. I don't know why that is. But yeah, this is incredible. Blew my mind having that conversation, and I learned loads of things as well. And I'm sure that you learned them. You learned things too. Just hearing Juliet talk about the research that she's undertaken, and how she's used those research to create the plays that she's written for both stage and for television is just mind blowing. Oh no, I can't add you, Bethany. I don't know why that is. It's not letting me. If you allowed your, you might have to go into your settings to allow Instagram. Nope, it's not letting me, Bethany, for some unknown reason. However, I will make sure, Saru, if you write down, if you can get in touch with Bethany. Oh, 1 sec. You said 1 sec? I will wait for you. I will wait for Bethany. I love the fact I can only imagine you, Bethany, right now getting into your settings and going, right, come on, allow access. You kids on saying. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts about what did you think of today's session? What did you think of the episode? What is the information? Oh yeah, I'm gonna give her a minute, Ma. What information did you take away, you know, from the conversation that we had, the interview that we had with Juliet? Like I said, we've got another bundle to give away. So I'm going to give away, the first bundle I'm giving away is At the Gates of Gaza and Uppercut. These two plays. This is the first bundle, and I'm trying to give them away to Bethany. So I'm going to just try again and see if it works now. And because we only have a certain amount of time, but please do comment below Also, we want to make sure that that everyone has access to or has an opportunity to win these plays. So please spread the word. Tell everybody what we're doing at Beyond the Canon, and tell them they'll have an opportunity of winning more plays such as this. Yeah, people saying so much information. Yeah, I'm sure that you're trying just to grasp all of the things that Juliet said.
Oh my God.
Hello. I can't see you properly. Hello? Can you hear me? Oh no. Bethany, you were there and then you went. What happened, Bethany? Let's try one more time. We're just not having any luck with Instagram today, but please bear with us. It's not our fault. Oh my God, I'm so not prepared. Come on, Bethany, we can do this. I believe in us. I believe in us. We saw you. It was like a tease. I saw you for like just a couple of seconds and then you disappeared. Let's see if this works. Otherwise, it might just be the fact that our Instagram it has been playing up a little bit. Don't know why that is. I love the fact that I tried to give everyone notice and say, look, I'll bring you in live to give you the plays, but
Right. I look like absolute shit. Can you see
no,
me?
I can see you. You do not, by the way, you do not.
I was not prepared for this at all. Look, I haven't washed my hair for about a week, so there we go.
How are you, Bethany?
Not needing a mirror actually. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was really, really interesting. Really, really interesting. Yeah.
Did
Is
you?
that a bit? That's better,
No,
isn't
that's
it?
fine. You look absolutely fine. I can see you. It's absolutely fine.
You could have
So,
given me a couple of minutes to do my hair.
you know what? I tried to give people notice. I'm like, look, I'm going to bring you in live. I said it at the
That
top
was,
of the podcast. And come on,
that was 5 seconds.
you know
I
what? The
can't.
conversation was just so good. We just flowed right into it. So then I was like looking at the time thinking, I need to start giving away the books actually now. So yeah, so I'm so thrilled to be able to give you the bundle of Juliet's books.
There we go. I'll start reading when I get them, obviously.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Bethany, because I feel like I
Um,
know you because we've had two
okay.
encounters now.
So I keep looking at myself, and I used to be speaking to you. What was I saying? Yeah. So I'm speaking far too loudly. I think my neighbours are all going to hear. 1 second. Let me just 1 second. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So I was living in Paris for 10 years. Trying to make it as an actress.
Mhm.
I went to the Conservatoire National, which is like one of these yes,
Mhm.
conservatory school there. I was there for 10 years, became bilingual in French. Came back just under a year ago to Britain, to
Mhm.
London, Brighton. And I've also been writing a lot, lots of writing. Was trying to get a play produced in France, never made it. And just sort of trying to adjust to Brexit, just to everything. Actually, to be honest, trying to adjust to Britain.
Mhm.
That's been my first thing. What else? I mean, I don't. What else can I say?
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm
So
shaking. The thing's shaking because I'm shaking. So
oh no,
I get
don't
quite
be
sad. So
nervous. Okay. So in terms of these plays, I mean, what brought you to Beyond the Canon BTC Writers Room in the first place? Like, how did you find out about us, and
yeah,
why the
that's a good
interest
question.
in these plays?
Yeah. I I don't know really. I was following the Bush Theatre. I think it's the Bush Theatre because, like I said, I'm totally out of what's going on in
Yeah,
in
Bush Theatre.
British theatre
Hmm.
here. I was on their live thing of all their playwrights that they were promoting, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually, I think it's coming from, so I've been writing a play for about a year. And I had this is going to get really kind of basic now. I had a black character in it. I've written a black character in it. And I've already like kind of rewriting this play, working on it. And one of the playwrights said something about I don't know whether to go. I'm feeling a bit paranoid about my rights, or like kind of what I've been sort of not researching, but I don't even know if I can say it was. Is it I know, I've written it down somewhere. Fenuti Began. Sorry, I can't pronounce this. What's his name? The guy who wrote he did an amazing. He's an actor, I think, slash writer, obviously, and he said some really powerful stuff.
Right.
About the magical Negro, this character, and I wrote. I'm going to be blimmin' honest here. I wrote a character in my play without realizing what I wrote. I wrote that, and you know when you start going, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
and I think maybe that kind of really hit a chord. The thing with the Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd thing, oh, I'm just grieving about that whole thing. I mean, I don't even know what. And
So
you
is
know,
it that
talking
you're
about
finding that this time you're using just to kind of educate yourself on like what's happening politically now? Is that what's the
educate? I mean, you could see it in different ways. I mean, I'm born and raised in London. Um, you know, and I went again, you know, to talk about education and schools, obviously it's you know, the schools that I went to, state schools, but were predominantly white. It's, you know, it's also a case of what your exposure is, you
yeah.
know. And I mean, moving abroad was the big thing for me, actually. When I moved to Paris, then studying and at that drama school was was like a violent exposure of well, just if we're talking about theatres particularly, and in France, that's, you know, France has got their story as well. In terms of education, you talk about always learning. I'm always learning. You know, I never. What was I going to say? I don't. I sort of feel like there's so much. You never can stop learning, can you? Really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I hope these books help and inspire you and maybe present so many different perspectives as well, so that you're able to kind of maybe understand, you know, I mean, Juliet is just amazing at really building character and giving us several different perspectives on a particular theme. So I'm hoping that that's what they'll do for you as you are writing currently, right? And that's what I'm really enjoying, is that through this we're meeting actors, we're meeting playwrights, we're meeting directors. So but please do continue to follow us, and if there's any questions that you have that you want to post to us directly, you know, do that, you know.
Yeah, that's wicked. Thank you, and it was the interview was amazing with Juliet. It was really cool, and thank you for being cool.
All right, then you take care. All the best of everything. Enjoy your evening, and I'm going to see if I've got time to. I don't think I'm going to have time to bring somebody else in, but we'll find a way to make sure that we give another bundle of Juliet's plays out there to somebody else. But thank you so much, Bethany, for joining us, and we'll see you next episode, I hope.
Wicked. Thank
All
you.
right,
Take
then.
care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I just wish I had more time with people. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is that we're going to have to give the other bundle at a later stage, somebody else. So we'll make that known. I'll get Saru to do a really lovely flyer of some kind. Hi, Saru. What
Hi.
an episode and
Oh
a
my
half.
goodness. I am like in my feelings and in my mind and in my spirit. I'm so incredibly motivated by that whole thing. And I have so much. I think I'm gonna need to watch it back. I'm gonna be like Juliet and watch this 4 times. And just really, like really digest it and really, and I'm gonna need to be there with my pen and my paper because I've got so much research to do. Hey Annie. Oh, Annie, thank you so
I
much.
know.
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I love you, Annie. I always love when you start saying things. But definitely let's catch up soon. But that was just, it was really remarkable, really, really remarkable. Hey, Sean. And I
Hey,
feel like it will be
Sean.
so great to kind of just go through it, learn from it, research more. I just want to,
Definitely.
I feel like
Can
if
I ask a
anything,
question?
yes.
Sean, did you have your hand up to win some plays? I'm going to leave that out there for Sean. Sean, did you have your hand up to win some plays? Because I'm sorry if Sean, are you there? Did you have your thumbs up to win some plays? Let me know. I'll be
I'm just
keeping an eye out on
gonna.
the comments. Because if you do, then you will be able to get the next bundle, because I know that you've been following us for a
Yes, we are. We have these
while.
incredible plays that we're giving away. They are so remarkable. And yes, definitely, definitely, definitely. I mean, we'll talk, Sean.
Yeah. But Sean, I think that just in terms of your playwriting, so we know Sean because Sean is a playwright, and I'm
You're
sure
welcome,
this is for
Bethany.
people that are on playwriting courses as well. And I know that Sean, my thumb is up too.
Annie!
Annie's a student of life. Someone said that last time. They were like, I'm just a student of life, so
A
please can I
student
have
of
the plays?
life. She said she's still learning. She loves her subject matter. Yes, Annie. Definitely so.
But yeah, we want to give the other bundle away. So that is At the Gates of Gaza and the Whip, and the Whip is extraordinary. And as you can hear, At the Gates of Gaza, I will share with Annie.
We will
Yes, Sean,
share
this
with
is what I
Annie. Yes,
love.
that is actually
People
a
are
good
gonna.
way to go. We
That's
could
great.
actually go that way. That's a beautiful
That's
way to go.
great.
I love
That's
that. I
great.
love that.
So we'll
Yes.
make sure that we'll send you the plays. If you've won any plays today, please can you send us pictures? Let us know that you've arrived. It'd be great if you're in the picture. People have been sending us pictures of the book.
Of the
I'm
book,
like,
but we
that's
know what the
great.
book looks like. We've sent it to you.
So do send it to us. Next week, we're not even gonna. Oh, we can't even let the cat out of the bag in terms of what we're
No,
doing
no
next week.
cat out of the bag. We'll be announcing what we're doing next week very shortly, so please keep an eye on our socials. We are so excited about next week. And we're excited about every week. The show is
Every
so
week.
spectacular. And these writers, man, hot eyes. And
Yeah.
also,
So
just to say, the selections, the play selections that they did, we'll be putting them on our website. So don't worry too much if you missed them. They will be on our site, so you'll be able to see what 3 plays that Julia thought that she could really have benefited from prior to her entering the industry. So they'll be there for you, along with the books we're giving away and the discount code.
yeah, so that's www.beyondthecanon.com. All right, that's it from us. We're
No,
gonna
no,
have to
no. One
go.
last thing before we go. One
Oh,
last
what's the
thing.
last thing?
Yes, just to say that postage of these books is not cheap, people. It is not cheap. And Sim and I, we are doing everything we can to try and make sure that we spread these far and wide, and we're going to keep doing that. But we do have a Just Giving page. If you're not able to give, that's cool. But if you could please just spread the word that we are trying to raise some money so that we can send these, and we want to send them internationally to anybody and everyone. And Canada Playwrights Canada Press and Review and Drama have given us so many, so we really want to share them. So if you could please share our Just Giving page, we'd appreciate that.
And donate.
And
No amount is
donate.
too small or too big.
Nothing.
So please do support us. Like we said, we are doing this on a voluntary basis, but you definitely need your support when it comes to just the postage of the plays. So please donate to us, and we'll
Thank
see
you.
you
Next
next week.
Wednesday.
So Wednesday, yeah. So stay tuned. See you next Wednesday. Saru, thank you so much.
Thank
Much
you,
love to
Sim. That
you.
was amazing. That was amazing. Thank you.
Okay, I will also share this video so you'll be able to watch it afterwards. All right then. Much love. Stay safe, everybody.
Bye bye,
Until next week.
guys.
Bye.